Hello, it's Lisa again, and this is the third video for week 8 on how to make a book using Photoshop. Okay, just a comment about making the book this week, and I mentioned this in the first video originally, and actually I'm going to change this in your assignment. The intention was to make the book in Bridge, but I have found that Bridge has, in the newest version of Photoshop and Bridge has removed the features to make books. So I had a new method of making books, and we're going to review that today, and it's using Photoshop instead of Bridge. Okay, so over here in the week 8 materials, I have a handout called How to Make a Book in Photoshop, and I have that handout open right here, and it's a 4-part process. First, I review with you how you need to organize your files, and that's critical. If you don't organize your files properly, your book will not come out right. Number 2 is designing your cover and your table of contents. So you'll need to create 2 Photoshop documents, one of your cover and one of your table of contents. And then using the features within Photoshop that I'm going to show you here in this video, you will first create the individual pages of your book, and then you will use another feature in Photoshop called PDF presentation to actually combine the entire book, including the cover and the table of contents together. Okay, so I have this handout for you, and I'm also going to go through each one of these steps with you in this video so that you have 2 areas of reference in terms of making this book. Okay, so the first thing I want to review with you is how to set up your files. So I'm going to come over here and bring up the scrapbook, and let me show you here what I have for my file creation. Okay, so on your project, let's go back to your project here. Okay, you are responsible for finding 10 images, 6 of which are for color correction and 4 of which will be for photo retouching. Okay, so going back here, you're going to want to save an original version of each one of those files. Okay, because what you're going to do here is you're going to end up having let me just show you the final here so that you have an idea of what the final for this looks like. Let's open up the online book. Okay, so when you finish with this book, you're going to end up with 2 images per page, and one of the images is going to be the original before you did any color correction, and then the second image is going to be the corrected image. Okay, so in order to set this up properly, you need to label the files properly in your local hard drive. So if you look here, I have my files labeled O1 corrected, and then O1 original, and then O3 corrected and O4 original, on down the line all the way to 20, because basically you're responsible for finding 10 images, and then you're going to make 10 color corrections. So you're going to end up with 20 images total. So it's very important that you name them and you have these numbers in front of them. Okay, so you need to start out with the first color correction, and by the way, your color corrections should be listed as they are listed in the project handout. So going back here, your first color correction should be correcting a over underexposed. Your second one should be correcting a no contrast or too much contrast, and so on. Okay, so in this particular case, this is correcting the an overexposed image, or in this case, an underexposed actually. Okay. So going back here to the listing, so my first one is O1 and O2, 1 being the corrected version, 2 being the original version. The second color correction, I believe, what is that second color correction? It is correcting no contrast or too much contrast. So this next one is labeled 03 and 04. I've got a corrected version and original version. And so you're just going to go through all of these and you're going to label them so that they have these proper labels. Now, what you put over here in terms of their names, that's up to you. That's just for your own reference. I just chose to describe the food that was in each one of the images, and I just put the word buffalo. You do not have to put the word buffalo, chef, and chicken. You put the word that relates to whatever the photo is depicting. Okay? What I'm most interested in is that you put the number and either the word corrected or the number and either the word original. That's what's most important to me, so that when I look at your scrapbook, okay, back here to the PDF, and if you can see here, what it does is it actually uses the title of the name of your file to tell me what I'm looking at here. Otherwise, if you don't label these properly, I will have no idea which one's the corrected version, which one's the original version, and to assess the success rate of which, of which technique you used and if it was successful and so on. Okay, so it's really for me to grade as well as for you to see the difference between the original and the corrected version. So for a couple of reasons, it's best to lay this out this way. So you need to make sure that all your files are labeled properly. When you're finished labeling all your files, you should end up with 20 files total. As you can see here, I have some TIFF images in here. I have some JPEG images in here. You might have some GIF images. More than likely, if you're pulling a lot of these photos from a digital camera, then you will end up with a bunch of JPEGs. In the case of this TIFF right here, this is the scanned image that I just went over in the last video, where I scanned a model in from a magazine and I saved out that model as a TIFF image, and I would recommend you do that as well. So when you do that scan, you could save it as a TIFF. It gives you a better rendition of the file. However, you can save it as a JPEG if you do not have the TIFF option in your scanner. So either one, either a TIFF format or a JPEG format is fine. Okay, so make sure that you label your files properly. And over here in the handout, I have a statement, and I'll go ahead and enlarge this, about how to go about naming your files. So basically I say file organization is critical for this project. You need to follow this naming style. If you do not follow this naming style, then I can guarantee your book will not lay out properly. Your images will be all over the place. They will not lay out in the order that mine laid out, where you have the corrected and the original next to each other. They'll be all over the place. So just so you know, if that happens, you didn't label your files properly. Okay, so that's the first thing you're going to want to do. The second thing that you need to do for this project is design your cover and your table of contents. So I have two little thumbnails here. This back here is my cover, and this is my table of contents. So basically it tells you what to do here. Create two new Photoshop documents at 150 DPI, 8.5 by 11. One of the documents should be a cover design, and you can add photos and text. This is optional. You do not have to add photos and text, but at the minimum, what you should add to the cover, and I'll show you my covers here. Okay, so here is the cover design. I just threw this together real fast. At the minimum, you should have a title for your scrapbook. It could be Photoshop Color Correction Scrapbook. You can call it whatever you want, just as long as it has the word scrapbook in there. You should have your name and the course and the date. Okay, and I put my logo in here. If you want to add photos to it and make it look kind of, scrapbooky, you can do that. Since you've been working in Photoshop now for 8 weeks, you should have built some skills to be able to do something fun or cool or do some dimensional text or what have you. So I guess this is like the creative portion of the project where you can design a cover. The other file you're going to design is the table of contents, and I'm going to go ahead and bring that up here. And here is mine. So you're going to make another file in Photoshop, and I described that in the assignment, or in that, that handout for making your book. And in the table of contents, you're going to tell me on each page what type of color correction or photo retouching you've applied to that particular page. So that when I'm grading this, I could look in the table of contents, and if I want to look at what you've done for color cast, I can just go to the 6th page and I could look at your color cast work. Okay, so going back here, page 6, which would be this one, you can see that I have corrected a color cast. I had some kind of pink, and I've removed that pink color cast. Okay, so you'll be designing 2 documents from scratch, one being your cover design and one your table of contents. Okay, so once you have that finished, once all your images are labeled properly in the on your local hard drive, and you've gone ahead and created your cover design and your table of contents, you're now ready to get started on making the book. Okay, so back here in Photoshop, I've already made the book so that I could show it to you. And one of the pages, I'll just show you the first page here. Here is the first page of the book. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and close out, because you can kind of see I have all the different pages of the book here that I've done in Photoshop. Okay, you can kind of see. But I'm going to go ahead and just go through the process that you need to go through to make the book. So I'm going to go ahead and close all these out. Just wanted them open for the time being so that you can see. I'm not going to save any of these at the moment. Okay, don't save that, or that, or that, or that, or that, or that. Okay, so basically I am here in Photoshop with nothing open. Okay. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to go up to Automate, up to File, and pull down to Automate, and then over to Contact Sheet 2. Okay, you're going to select that. And a dialog box is going to come up. Okay, and here it is. Now, I have gone ahead and captured this dialog box, and I've placed that inside your handout here. So all of the settings that you need to put into the Contact Sheet 2 menu are all in here on this handout, if you don't catch it from this video. But they're also going to be in this video. All right, so if I come back here, basically what you're doing here is you're creating your book pages with this menu feature. All right, so up here under the source images, you're going to want to make sure this says folder, and you're going to click this choose button. Okay, now this is what I wasn't able to put on the handout, but when you click the choose button, what you're going to do is you're going to go out to the folder, okay, that has all 20 of your images. As you can kind of see here, I have the folder selected corrected, and inside there I have all the images that I have labeled based on the first part of this handout with the proper naming, the 01 through 20. And you're going to select that as your path. So you can kind of see here that the path is migrating out to my scrapbook, and I'm selecting that folder. Okay, so this is important. If you don't select the proper folder, it's going to make pages of the wrong images. Okay, so that's pretty important. The rest of the settings are all set down here, and they're also in your handout. Make sure that it's width of 11, height of 8.5, that the resolution is set to 150, and most of this stuff right here is default, but you want to make sure that it's set to RGB 8-bit, and that your color profile is sRGB, and that you have flattened all layers clicked. Okay. The other thing you want to make sure you have is place across first. You want 2 columns, 1 row, and you want 1 inch in between, both vertically and horizontally. You also want to make sure your rotate for best fit is check marked. Also, for the file name, you want to make sure it says Helvetica. If you're on a PC, you can make this say Arial. That's fine. Arial and Helvetica are the same, PC or Mac. If you don't have Helvetica on the Mac, you can use Arial. And then make sure this says 10 point. Okay? So once I have all these settings set, and all of these settings are all in your handout here, they're all listed here, okay, then I'm going to go ahead and hit OK. And what it's going to do is it's going to combine all of those images, those 20 images, into my book pages. So it'll take a few, maybe a minute. So we're just going to kind of wait it out here in the video, and I am trying to make this video as fast as I can. What's doing this, you want to make sure that the image starting with, it's pretty important at this point, are 5x7, because then the images will be scaled down to fit on the pages as opposed to enlarged to fit on the pages. So that's why the 5x7 requirement was important. Okay, it's continuing on, and it's working through this. It takes, I have some pretty intense programs running at the moment, like my video software to make this video is running at the moment, so it's taking up a lot of space, and that's why it's taking a little bit for this to do this. Okay, so I'm going to continue and let this go through its process. Finish here. Transforming. It's doing a lot for you here. Basically, this automation that's happening here is, if you watch your layers palette, you'll see all of the different functionality that's being applied to this book based on this automated feature they've set up. And it used to be done in Bridge, and it was actually a lot better. You can add watermarks, and you can do so much more. You can add page numbers, but they've eliminated that in Bridge, and now it's, you know, what we've got to work with, but it still works fine. So it looks like we're getting through it. If you watch across the top there, right up here, you'll notice that you'll see contact sheets being created for each one of your pages, and that's what you want. You're going to end up at the end with 10 contact sheets that you're going to use to make your page. Okay, it looks like we're almost done. We're on contact sheet number 8 right now, so we'll just wait this out. And awkward moments of silence. Okay, we'll just listen to the fan on my computer for one more contact sheet. Okay, there we go. Contact sheet number 10 is creating, and depending on how fast your computer is, this process may be slower than what we've just done or faster than what we've just done. I have a pretty beefy computer in my office here. But as I showed you in the last, couple of seconds, it's doing a lot to these images. Okay, so it just finished number 10, and it's showing me page 10 here. So if I click through, if I go to Window and look under Window, I see I've got 1 through 10 contact sheets that are open here in Photoshop. If I go back to 1, it'll show me my first page, and 2 will show me my second page. Right now, they're all separate Photoshop documents, okay? But it's important at this point that you leave them open in Photoshop. Now, at this point, I want you to do one other thing. I want you to go up and do File, Open, and I want you to open up your cover design document that you created. So I'm going to go out into my scrapbook here, or my handout actually, and I'm going to open up the, oh wait a minute, no, I'm sorry, book pages right here. I have my cover design, and I'm going to open up my table of contents. Okay, so I've got a cover design document, PSD, and a table of contents, PSD. I'm going to go ahead and open those up. Okay, so here's my cover, and here is my table of contents. Okay, so right now I have all 10 PSD documents open, as well as my table of contents and my cover. Okay, Now we're going to use the next feature in your handout, which is make your PDF book. Okay, so you're going to make your presentation. So up here under File, go down to Automate again and pull down this time to PDF Presentation. And the nice thing about this is because you have all these files open, you don't actually have to link to where they are on the computer. All you have to do is click the Add Open Files here. And notice that all of those open PSD documents pop up in here. Okay, now you can rearrange these. What I'm going to do is I'm going to move the cover to the front and the table of contents after the cover. So I have my cover, table of contents, and then starting with 1 all the way to 10 contact sheets. Okay. Also make sure that under Output Options, Multi-Page Document is selected right here. And that's all you have to do in here. You do not have to click anything else. Make sure all these are checked off and make sure that this goes to a white background. And we're going to go ahead and hit Save. And it's going to save a document. So I'm going to go ahead into my scrapbook folder here and I'm going to put my last name. So it'll be, again, labeling your files to turn in for me. And this would be scrapbook. Okay. And what this is going to do is create a PDF for me. So I'm going to go ahead and hit Save. And leave it on the high quality print and hit Save PDF. So let's go out here to my hard drive. Okay, and let's look here under the, okay, it looks like it's still making. All right, where is it? Okay, so let's see. There it is. Okay, so here's my PDF. I'm going to go ahead and open that PDF. Now, anytime you make a PDF, you always want to open it up in Acrobat to double check and make sure it looks like it should. So open it in Acrobat Pro or Acrobat Reader, either one. And voila, your online scrapbook is complete. Okay, if you click this little icon over here to the left, it will open up and show you all the pages, and you can look at the well, actually, this is the old one. I'll go ahead and shut that. This is the new one here that I just made. So I have the cover design, and then I have my table of contents 1 through 10, and then I have the first one, page 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8, 9, and 10. Okay? So now I can follow this and I can give you a grade for this project. And that is what you're responsible for this project. Okay, is creating, this is your digital scrapbook. So this concludes the third video for week 8.